May the 4th be with you, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And to commemorate this Star Wars fan holiday, if you will, we've decided to take a look at one of the definitive Vader fan films. Appropriately enough entitled Vader, Episode 1, Shards of the Past. Now, Dragon, I'm going to throw it over to you in just a second to kind of give us the rundown, kind of the elevator pitch, if you will, of what this is. But one of the main reasons we're talking about this, it's really good with Vader. It's definitely like some of the best Vader that we've seen outside of canon. But Dragon specifically, we're talking about it because it's got some really, really juicy and meaty Palpatine stuff in this.
That it does.
And Dragon, you know why we're excited about Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker, Dragon? You know why we're excited about him, and you know why it makes sense canonically?
Pray tell why.
Because no one's ever really gone. Oh, Frollo, just go ahead and throw that baby into the well, because no one's ever really gone. It'll be just fine.
Right.
All right, I'm going to just get darker and darker with those.
That's not going to get old.
Anyways, after the obligatory no one's ever really gone. But in all seriousness, folks, of course, the hype for Emperor Palpatine coming back, whether he's a Force ghost or a vision or, or a zombie, or he's just like, surprise, I never really died. Any number of those things, Dragon, we're going to get him back in some way. And to celebrate that, we're looking at a short that not only encompasses Vader, but more importantly, definitely shines a light on the Vader and Palpatine dynamic. A behind the scenes look at it, if you will. So, Drago, without further ado, just kind of give the elevator pitch for what this series is and specifically why episode 1 is such a big deal.
Well, to keep it simple, Vader, this series, it just kind of, I want to say, just kind of came out of the blue at the end of last year, December of last year, and of course, basically when a Star Wars movie was expected last year, but we kind of got it earlier with Solo and everything. And in essence, this is this is very much kind of derived from the kind of the Vader comics and stuff. It's not
Don't
like
worry,
officially.
Dave, you're coming back.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Point being, this is it's like it's not specifically like an adaptation of any of the comics or anything, but it feels like them. What it specifically does is this is just kind of like filling in the blanks between episode 3 and episode 4. So it's kind of, and I've always said for years, like that for me is just kind of the that's the prequel spot I've always wanted to explore, just kind of seeing the early beginnings of Vader, and that's what this fan series and kind of what the comic series just called either Darth Vader or Vader alone. Those are pretty much what those series have been all about. So this is kind of very much in line with what that's all about. That's pretty much what this is. This is basically Vader 8 months after the end of episode 3.
All right, Dragon, so without any delay, I'm going to go ahead and give my thesis statement for this thing. And Dragon, my thesis statement might be the shortest thesis statement I've ever done in the history of the podcast. All right, you ready for it?
Yes, I am.
All right, Dragon, this redeems the no.
Oh, goody.
That's all I got to say, Dragon. That's all I got to say. Like, I love I love all the Padme stuff in this. I really do. It really got to me, and it was like, man, like they're actually showing a way to make Vader sympathetic and tragically mournful about Padme in a powerful way that's not over the top and cheesy, and I'm digging it, man. And of course, more importantly, Sheev Palpatine is in raw form too, and we get some awesome Force hallucinations along the way. That Force hallucination is my favorite scene in the episode, if you can't tell already. So yeah, Dragon, I mean, I'm loving this. The production values are just incredibly on point. I feel the performances are definitely there. The guy behind the Vader suit really knows how to wear it. He's He's really got all these Shakespearean inflections at play in his in his presence on screen. And I'm digging this, man. I definitely am. How many episodes is this?
Well, that's the interesting thing, Tiki. This right now there's only one episode available, but
Okay.
they're working on episode 2, and they have like a teaser and things for it. But I wouldn't expect I wouldn't expect it any time immediately soon. But they are working on it. Like, there's no delay in like how they're working on it. I'll give you that with
Gotcha. I didn't know it was so recent. That's the thing. I didn't even check the date on it or
Well, I mean, I
anything.
told you it was like the end of last year is when they did the first one. So it was like December of last year. So
Uh-huh.
literally December 18th. So literally when a Star Wars movie would be coming out. That's the weird thing.
And Dragon, I know you like Solo more than I did, but tell me you appreciate this more than Solo. Tell me you think this is a more positive representation of what Star Wars should be than Solo is.
Okay, well, look, there are 2 points I got to address. Okay, one,
Oh God,
it's an
okay.
unfair comparison for 2 reasons. One, it's the first episode of a series versus a whole movie. But secondly, more importantly, and this is like the personal reason it's an unfair thing, is because this is the Vader. Again, this is the Vader stuff that I always wanted ever since the prequels were made. And that has the unfair advantage in that, like, when I think Star Wars prequels and what I wanted to see, basically the stuff in between 3 and 4, that's my sweet spot with the prequels. So I mean, Solo technically fits in with that as well, but still, it's like the Vader stuff specifically, because of course that's where I'm jazzed out of my mind with the ending of Episode 3 with that sort of stuff. So this really hits a sweet spot with me. And just that said, again, this is dipping in the stuff I just long time love affair stuff with Vader for me. Again, like, I fell in love with that. I know I'm proud on about the Vader comics we covered. In the previous thing we covered for May the 4th in advance was Darth Vader versus Buzz Lightyear. We kind of geeked out about that for a while. And yeah, this is this more so again. This feels so true. What I've been just kind of been glowing about since they started with kind of these new kind of in canon Disney Star Wars comics they've been doing, specifically the Vader stuff, which is all about kind of the strife and kind of Vader. Those comics specifically are kind of Vader like after A New Hope onwards, kind of Vader dealing with like a humiliating defeat at the start. At the start of the story is basically we evaluate the relationship between him and the Emperor. And this whole thing's about the kind of the almost like a Gus. It's almost like a Gus Fring, and you insert other players. It's almost like a Gus Fring Hector Salamanca dynamic these two have, and that's kind of a fascinating thing. That's kind of the thing that's kind of they've kind of dipped tapped into what I love in the comics, where there's like we the audience know these guys are going to go up against each other. We know they're going to betray each other. Well, I mean, we know more so Vader's going to turn on the Emperor. And basically that series and what this especially does here, this goes even further back than what we have in those comics. This goes back to like this is when Anakin was like having remorse over what he's done. So this is really fascinating stuff that this dives into. I absolutely echo all your sentiments. I think this thing would make David Prowse proud. I really do. I think the Vader performance in this would just make him so proud, because again you have so much emotion conveyed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not just behind the mask. It's a different. Of course, we have 3 different people playing Vader, because we have behind the mask, we have the voice, and we have the physical. The physical performer, and all 3 of them are doing a great job. All 3 of them just brings a great humanity and a great dimension to already wonderfully kind of complex and iconic characters. Again, this is just everything I could have asked it to be, and it's just like part 1. I'm already very satisfied with this. Let's really go going forward. I'm very happy with it.
All right. Do you want to give any background, or did you already give the background that you needed to give?
Well, no. Let me fire through some background here.
Go ahead.
This background is this. So this is on the Star Wars Theory channel, as you can kind of see in the image here. So Vader's a Star Wars Theory fan series. It's kind of their version of like a Star Wars story. It's a Star Wars Theory fan series. And that's the thing. Star Wars Theory is a YouTube channel. It's kind of basically Star Wars Theory specifically is the guy, like the guy who leads the channel. Is just that's all really. I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't know what the guy's real name is, but basically Star Wars Theory is kind of what he's credited as in the piece, and what he's kind of referred to as. Just point, Star Wars Theory is a cool guy, and basically what that channel, what this guy's all about, is kind of your average Joe YouTuber who's basically obsessed with Star Wars in the best way. Where this guy, what they focus on with theories, like they're all about speculation and rumors. They go over like all the new Star Wars news. Basically, for the last 2 years, that's what these guys, that's what he and I guess others have been have been doing. They've gone over a few of the comic stories, just kind of like summarized them and kind of recapped them. And of course, I think now they're kind of reaching the shorts with stuff like this. And so this piece was written and directed by Danny Ramirez, Star Wars Theory. Basically, it was written by three people and directed by one of the writers, Danny Ramirez. So it's written by Ramirez, Star Wars Theory, and Nikolai. I'm going to butcher his last name here, so forgive me. Nikolai Wojciechowski. So let's see. Also, Star Wars Theory. He portrays the unmasked Vader that we see in this. He portrays unmasked Vader. So that's what the Star Wars Theory looks like, coated in really awesome looking makeup.
Oh man, the makeup is just like incredible.
It is.
I mean, I'll say this: it looks better than Oscar-winning Suicide Squad.
Oh, 8 times better. Yeah. The point being, so the goal of this, I want to say Star Wars Theory is kind of the Kevin Feige in this situation. That he has a vision what he wants to tell here, and that he has a goal for a Vader story, like something for the fans. And then basically the other two guys, you got Ramirez and Nikolai. They're really getting the back and forth in the dialogue. Yeah, it was like a fun spitballing session with the dialogue once they had a concept for the story. And again, I'm sure they have like a grander scheme for the series because they have a plan for episode 2. Believe me, they've teased it up a little bit. And this thing was so good. Tiki, this is the main reason we're covering it. This thing hit like wildfire when it came out. Because I remember seeing this thing pop up. I didn't watch it until getting ready for, I guess, May the 4th until this, because I knew we were probably going to talk about this, but I didn't know when. And then, of course, May the 4th is kind of the perfect opportunity. And the point is, like, I remember this thing hitting. And it was basically this. It even got Lucasfilm's attention. Like, Star Wars Theory was invited to the Star Wars celebration, and he's kind of teased up some stuff.
Wow.
He's teased up some stuff he can't talk about, implying that maybe Lucasfilm's kind of contracted him for some work for all we know. I don't know.
Nice.
And again, like for 2 years before this, like I guess like 2017 onward, like basically Last Jedi onward, he's been he's just been kind of like a regular average Joe Star Wars fan, just kind of talking about the stuff he loved, and just basically giving a voice to kind of the fan theories and the speculation between movies and with video games and all the stuff coming out, Mandalorian, you name it, and it's really paid off for him. I don't know why. Again, I kind of hit this guy just basically this alone, but again, he's looking into the few of the other videos, kind of the behind the scenes, and the making of, like, man, I'm so invested in the success of this man. He's living the dream. That's awesome. And here's the really cool thing I'm going to highlight. One really awesome thing. So. I hope I'm not talking out of school here because it was revealed during some behind the scenes and Q&A stuff. So I mean, I hope it's basically time's passed since it came out, and basically the reveal was that this was made out of pocket. As in, this video is like, as in the video was not monetized. As in, like, again, it's a fan film, and of course Lucasfilm and Disney especially, you can't really monetize something you don't own, which is Star Wars. So this was made out of pocket, and again, to make it look as good as it is, it's essentially out of the guy's pocket with no expectation of return is. $160,000.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, that's
for just the one guy.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe a few of the producers along.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but still,
yeah.
That's crazy.
I think he's turned down some sponsorship too, as well, for the thing. I'm sure there was a good reason for it. I just looked at the headline on that one. I don't know the whole story on that. The point being, like, this guy, again, he made it for the fans, and I think it shows you're willing to take. Again, basically, it's like a Clerksian gamble that Kevin Smith took. Again, there's no guarantee of a return, and there's a chance that it might not pay off. And it's like, well, you're just doing it for you're investing in yourself. In this case, the guy's investing in kind of the goodwill of Star Wars, and I think this thing just kind of epitomizes what's great about Star Wars fandom, the fan film culture. Star Wars is kind of bred and kind of inspired in other people, and that's the reason Episode 2 isn't readily available. Because again, it's like another out of pocket thing for all we know. It's like the next, but and of course they want to deliver even bigger and better. And the next one's supposed to be $250,000. That's why we're waiting on it. Again, so you can imagine. Again, I don't know if Lucasfilm, maybe down the line they might help them out or something. I don't know if maybe that's what the behind closed doors discussion was. I don't know, but I mean, I'm rooting for them. I mean, again, they definitely teased. We'll get the end when we get to the end of the thing. We'll talk about what Episode 2 is likely. I'll reveal the details about Episode 2 when we get into it by the end. But yeah, it's really it's good stuff.
All right. Okay, so I guess just dive right into it then.
Yeah, let's dive right into it. Let's start off. So of course we have blue text.
Oh yeah. So I like how they kind of like take the tradition of like these Star Wars stories, like we're not exactly doing the crawl, but we're doing a different way of kind of telling the setup.
Yeah, and of course they have like the dramatic statement. We also had this with Solo. I like that we're kind of mirroring what we've been doing with things like Rogue One and Solo with the blue text. 'Cause I like how we kept the blue text, even though we gotten rid of the crawl on a lot of things. You know, we have
Of course,
you
Solo. The cool thing about Solo, probably one of the few nice things I'm going to say about Solo Dragon is the fact that it we got the crawl text in the text font of a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
well, yeah, and we also have like a lawless time, and that's what I'm talking about. We have like a lawless time for that one. And for here, we have Anakin Skywalker is dead. Like that's the main thing we're stressing. You're like Anakin Skywalker is dead. That's the first thing that pops up there after a long time ago.
Mhm.
And so, you know, Anakin Skywalker is dead. And then basically we established the premise up in the crawl here, which I thought was really good. So again, if anyone's just wondering what the heck this thing's going to be about, well, there you go. Anakin Skywalker is dead. And you got to remember, Tiki, when Vader is created, when Vader shows up, I mean, for the whole galaxy, and this thing, it's always been like an expanded universe and stuff, and just in general, is that you know people again, Anakin Skywalker again with the whole Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker reveal, all that Anakin Skywalker was killed. Like the rumors, like, hey, maybe Anakin Skywalker is killed by this Darth Vader guy who showed up. The idea people, Anakin Skywalker disappeared. People thought assumed he died, and this Vader guy, they have no idea he was under the mask.
Yeah, sure, makes sense.
They established this is 8 months after the mysterious Darth Vader after the Emperor's enforcer Darth Vader emerged, and he commands as the Emperor commands his new enforcer to go around, go forth and do damage and all that sort of stuff. And for some, the Empire brings fear. For others, it brings hope. For Vader, nothing but suffering. We hold on suffering. And that is what the film shows. It shows, like, again, we show the suffering of Vader, what he's probably deals with him, for all we know, maybe a daily basis in these early months. Like, this is the Vader with remorse, the Vader who, again, he's trying to bury the past. Again, this is a whole thing that was in like.
I mean, essentially, he's just like, oh crap! I basically signed a deal with the devil, and now I am not human anymore. I am essentially like a super space Nazi.
And it was a bad deal because it didn't even work to save the woman he loved. So
Right,
exactly. With a bad deal. I mean, he got limbs, and that's about it. Really, he's got limbs and a respirator. That's what he got out of the deal. I mean, sure, it's better than nothing, but still, it's. And that's the point, Tig. I love that what this is getting to the heart of here. That again, this is kind of what The Last Jedi. I like that there are shades of the new trilogy within the DNA of this. I like how we're kind of borrowing ideas that we've seen there. We're kind of doing them. I'm not going to say just doing them better, but I like that we're.
Well, I mean, I feel like we get a lot of different things. Like we have a couple callbacks to stuff like the Clone Wars, which makes sense in the timeline.
I mean, we also have a little bit. There's a little Force Awakens reference, and we also, again, I think thematically, there's a little bit of The Last Jedi with kind of Ben Solo's thing. I think I like seeing kind of the legacy of the Skywalker within the very beginnings of it here. The big transitional, basically the whole story that we've seen in the recent trilogy with Kylo Ren so far is kind of what Vader's going through right now in the infancy of that transition. I'm so glad
you bring that up, Dragon. I'm really glad you bring that up because. As I was watching this, I was just kind of like in my head, of course, say it with me, Dragon. It's like poetry.
It rhymes.
And I was just thinking, I was just like, yeah, that's kind of like a good way to justify Kylo Ren. And you know me, Dragon, I am a Kylo Ren fan. It took me a while to warm up to him. I wasn't quite on board with him in Force Awakens, but by the time we got to Last Jedi, I was like, yeah, this guy's really cool, right, guys? Right, guys. Anyways,
but yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like that we're kind of seeing kind of the original transitional phase, and that's the thing. Like Kylo Ren's credo, I believe in Last Jedi, is the whole like let the past die. That whole thing.
Sure.
And that's what the whole Anakin Skywalker's day comes into play.
And then of course, like sending him on an important mission to kill a Jedi to prove his worth. That kind of mirrored the Han Solo thing in Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm. And again, a little bit of the shards of the past with kind of the memory and the flashback element of it all there. But again, specifically, it's like he has these shards of the past that are keeping Anakin Skywalker somewhat in a state of limbo. And that's the big decision. Like, I guess the whole series is going for this. It's Vader making the big decision of like, do I let the past die and basically, do I let the past die or not? Do I go forward or not? Do I keep going down the dark path that I'm going, or do I try to salvage what I have left of my limbless humanity?
Right, right.
That's a very fascinating idea they're kind of bringing forth, and I'm very hooked on that idea of seeing how that develops. Of course, we know it's basically we're kind of telling a tragedy from Darth Vader's perspective, which is a great idea. So yes, go on.
Oh no, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
All right, let's see. Okay, after the crawl, okay, so we have this really intensely lit standoff. Really great lighting here. We have this intensely lit standoff of Vader. We start the short strong. It's Vader choking the life out of basically what we reveal to be the Emperor, but it's got to be the Emperor. But still, it's like he's just choking the life out of this guy, and I love this though. He's choking the life out of this guy. There's red lighting all around him. And like have all the clone troopers just surrounding him. And put him down, put him down.
We got like the Rogue One teaser trailer alarm going off.
Yes, that's the first thing we hear. Yes, and
which is kind of funny because that wasn't even in the actual movie.
Well, I mean, wasn't it in the third act though? Like, wasn't that alarm blaring or
no? It was. It wasn't nearly as prominent as they made it out to be.
Anyway, speaking of Rogue One, again, that's the thing I want to highlight too, because again, I think this is a great piece in the middle of like Episode 3 in a Rogue One in the Vader context of things. Again, it's kind of getting us places there. So I thought again, that's another. I definitely get a lot of the Rogue One kind of stuff that when Rogue One did stuff right, mainly it was that third act, and specifically it was the Vader scenes in that third act. And I think they're definitely kind of tapping into a little bit of that here, and I thought that was good.
Sure.
Like right here, we have a really awesome idea here. So we start the thing strong with the alarms blaring like this, and put him down, and he like release him, and basically he's just choking the life out of what we reveal to be the Emperor. He says, "I will not be denied." Like Vader means business. The saber comes on, and they're shooting at him, and he's deflecting blast, and and the idea, and what I love about this Teague is again you using the Force and everything. It takes concentration, and I love that. He's like he's still got him after all, and I think the troopers say something to that effect. He still got him, And just the fact that we see the shoes flailing and everything, and we show Vader's determination here, and and basically what we're kind of sad is like, oh man, there's no coming back. It raises the question, man, is there any coming back from this? Because that's again the comics kind of get into a little bit of like he's with the Emperor. It's like again the Emperor knows that Vader is kind of he's thinking about turning on. That's kind of what we kind of get into a little bit here. Like the Emperor can sense it. And he knows like where this thing might be turning. So basically, it's like there's obviously a kind of a wavering in trust between these two since they started their partnership. And that's the question. Like, there's always a question of like in those stories, like, okay, well, obviously there's going to be a little bit of like a reconciliation, so they can kind of keep going until the eventual movies unfold. But still, like, I'm wondering when I'm watching this, wondering, oh man, I mean, how are they going to come back from this? Because I'm not thinking like Nightmare.
Right.
I mean, I know they have like a tumultuous relationship, but this is big. How's he going to? Because he's just choking the life out of him. So I'm enthralled, and I wondering what the heck. Basically, they're marking the right.
Like years of canon beyond this point with them.
And again, like they're trying to fit it into the continuity here, but they're not really slavish to it. Again, it's kind of based on like Star Wars theories, and again, it's a little bit of fan fiction. Sure, by the same token, they are trying to fit into the timeline as best they can here. So, I mean, there's nothing saying again so far based on how this turns out. There's nothing saying this doesn't fit in where things fit in because it was that good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And of course, I love when the clone troopers are like their blasts get reflected and get shot. It's like brother. Again, like the little brotherly idea, like they're all the same person, at least in the first wave, all the clone troopers. Again, that idea is kind of put.
Yeah. It's interesting to see like the stormtroopers, like they're basically performing the function of the stormtrooper, but the actual concept of stormtroopers, like in terms of like the military enlistment and everything, hasn't quite happened yet. It seems.
Yep. And we have, again, as all this is going on, like Vader, he just will not let go of him, and you will now. Now you will answer for your treachery. And then we have more troopers enter with bigger blasters, like Gatling guns of blasters. They come in here, and we have then they fire. They all fire, and basically he's. I love this. Basically, we do they all fire, but he basically freezes them all in space. I mean, basically, he drops the saber. Sorry, so I'm going to get the events right here. Like I said, we have these troopers enter with all the blasters. Vader, as they fire, Vader loses the lightsaber, and we reveal that he's holding the Emperor because the Emperor's now sprawled out on the ground. He's kind of trying to get away, I think. Then as all the laser blasts come again, even without a lightsaber, because we've seen what he didn't do with the lightsaber and laser blast and blasters, he basically holds them all. And this is the Kylo Ren homage here, where again it's like we're kind of seeing the roots of the. And again, it is a fantasy, so it's kind of a question. I wonder how much of it is actually possible for him to do this, because again, even Kylo Ren can hold one blast back, but again, it's kind of fusing the idea of okay, so
you know what? Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's just kind of like between that and just kind of like the dodging all the blasts as he's force choking the Emperor. It's it is a very, but keep in mind, of course, it is there's a twist on this scene that we're going to get to, so I feel like that might add to the heightened reality of it.
Precisely, that's the thing. Like my own little headcanon, personally, I like to think that like Kylo Ren, he asked around about Vader all across the galaxy, and he found out that Vader could do this, and he dedicated himself. And the farthest that he got was the one blaster, but Vader historically maybe could do all this. It's like my own little headcanon, but by all means, of course, it could play into the head. It could play into the just again the heightened quality. By all means, absolutely. So the point being, this awesome shot where Vader's holding back all the blasts. And not only does he hold them back, this is even better. Even Kylo Ren couldn't do this. Holds them all back. But he sends them back. He sends them all back. This is the OG.
It's like a boomerang effect almost with all of them.
Quote the kids, Tiki. Again, this is OG Vader right here, folks. This is why he's the original. The OG Vader, folks. He's sending them all back. Oh boy! And then I believe after that point, that's when we have the full reveal. Okay, so he's suffocating the Emperor, which we all knew, but it's like, yeah, oh my god! Now we reveal that's the guy. That's why he hates the Emperor so much. Of course, oh my god, Vader and the Emperor are usually buddies. What's going on here until the very end? You will suffer for your deceit and answer for your failure to save her.
No, it's basically you will answer for your failure. You will answer for her.
Yes.
Dragon, I love the emphasis that he puts on her. Again, I'm kind of geeking out because I'm like, oh my god, this is kind of doing it, Dragon. This is a little sliver of like, if I could just imagine myself, like imagine this Vader in the mindset of the stupid no Vader. It makes that scene like 10 times more palatable, Dragon. I'm tickled pink by that.
Yeah, and again, I absolutely agree. Again, we're redeeming a lot of the Padme stuff, which again, like honestly, when I went back to Clone Wars, when I watched in its infancy, again,
I heard Padme's really good in Clone Wars. I need to, I need to eventually watch Clone Wars. It's just, there's a lot of episodes of that show. It's
true. We'll have the opportunity. Well, again, you'll have the opportunity with Disney Plus, so it's just a matter of time, I guess.
But Disney's Plus, you realize, is going to be a Pandora's box.
Of course.
There's only 24 hours in a day, Dragon.
Well, sure. I mean, again, no commercials. It's going to go by like that if you apply yourself.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's so many options on Disney Plus.
Oh, true. Yeah, in that regard. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're right.
That's why I'm calling it a Pandora's box.
Right. Yeah, but, of course. Anyway, but that's like even with the Clone Wars. What I'm saying is like way back when I watched the early seasons, I got really excited when like I was dying for the scene between Anakin and Padme because again I love that relationship and like how important that is. Like oh man, because we know what happens to Vader and of course this downfall relies on the relationship between him and Padme. It's gonna be a missed opportunity if they never did anything with that, and they did stuff with it. So I want to go back and see how much they did with it because I remember the one episode where basically there's this really sweet episode where Anakin gives her his lightsaber to protect herself in the episode. So it was a really cool little move there. But anyway, getting trailing off. Back to Star Wars. So, okay, so we have this great bit. I love how just vengeful Vader is in this scene. Again, epitomizing what separates a Sith from a Jedi. A guy seeks revenge big. Big way. So I love how he makes the Emperor flees and crawls on the floor like a dog. Yeah. Because remember, he just keeps holding him back and letting him go. Holding him back, letting him go.
No, you're not going to walk.
Yeah. Then we have, I destroyed your enemies, forged you an empire, and like the Jedi, you left me. A mere shadow of what I was promised. You left me a mere shadow. I love that
line because it definitely is just kind of like the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker. Like, God damn it, no one's ever going to cut this kid a break. It's like, it's almost like, think of Anakin Skywalker as the kid who's like, he was he was working a job and he wanted to get that manager promotion so badly, Dragon. He really wanted to become manager. And then along comes this other guy, the shifty guy from the store across the street, and he's like, "I will make you manager." And then you're working there like a year and a half, and you're like, "Hey, bro, you said you'd make me manager," and he's like, "Yes, in time, in time." That's basically what Anakin Skywalker's going through right now, except on a much more existential level, because the whole like not really being human and performing genocide on children and everything like that. That'll mess with you a little bit.
Of course. But yeah, I love that you've taken everything. Essentially, what we're doing here is this is everything that again, this is Vader. We basically voiced in dialogue everything that's going through Vader's head. In that 8 months later, he's kind of processed. Okay, so I've made my choice. I'm just kind of living with it right now. I'm just kind of living with the limbs and everything where he kind of left off on. And now 8 months later, he's kind of vocalizing, yeah, I mean, I do blame Palpatine for you botching this deal up here, not bringing Padme back like he promised, and I do all this stuff when in the 8 months I've just been kind of a questionless foot soldier and forging the Empire, been the enforcer, I got like my reputation, and everything, but what am I getting out of it? Why am I doing this? He's voicing all the anger and everything to well, essentially what we think is the Emperor here.
Mm-hmm.
So then the Emperor, he says like, "Everything, foolish boy. You grieve for a dead wife of an insolent Jedi. Padme's fate was your choice, just as your fate is mine." Vader, he said, basically, I love that we have this. Vader sees the Emperor's.
Yeah, I don't know what it is exactly, Dragon.
Basically, I love this. Basically, he kind of what happens here is I love that Vader kind of sees what the Emperor's planning in his eyes here. Basically, he knows what's really cool about this. Because he was there during this scene. Again, knowing what's going to happen in knowing basically the gist of what's going to happen in episode 2. This makes it even, because it's kind of set up at the end of this one. This makes it even better what they're doing here, too. Because the idea is like Vader sees the Emperor on the ground, turning to him, and he's getting ready to do his lightning move. And again, this is the exact same move.
Right,
that was in episode 3 with Mace
and
Windu.
Vader, I think what Vader's probably thinking is like, "Oh, I was in the room with Mace Windu when this shit went down. Hell no, motherfucker!"
And of course, that's a huge moment because that's when Anakin made the choice in the moment. That's when that's why, again, if anyone's going to get this, it's going to be Vader. So again, he sees like he's getting ready to do the episode 3 move that he did on Mace and poor old Sam Jackson, and he pulls one of the Crayola guard guys. Like the Imperial guards. Well, let's face it, they're all nicknamed Crayola. So he told the Crayola
to satisfy his Sean Beans, motherfucker.
He grabs one of them and basically using the Force, he uses him to block the light. And we have this great standoff of the Force here. Basically, Vader's
it's got like one of those Crayola guards, and Dragon, of course, we call those red Imperial guards Crayola guards because they basically look like crayon people.
Yeah, pretty much. I keep using that from the Robot Chicken thing with Seth MacFarlane as the Emperor saying, "Hey, you Crayola, get over here." Cracks me up.
But anyway, so it's just like the Force lightning with Vader, and Vader using the Force to block the Force lightning with the Crayola guy.
And Vader tosses his lightsaber at the Emperor, and the Emperor's using his own Force powers while he's shooting lightning to stop the to stop the lightsaber. Basically, they're both forcing. It's Force upon Force, man. There's too much Force.
There's definitely some really cool Force power stuff in this 13 minutes that we get this short for sure.
Oh yeah, so the two forcing the other's attack and holding it back, and we have the exterior shot with the Star Destroyer. And we see like the lightning being reflected from the window and everything, and ultimately, it's Vader gets hit and he's thrown back. He's hit by lightning. Vader's true weakness, lightning. If we've learned anything from Star Wars, lightning is Vader's kryptonite. Okay. So the Emperor, this was awesome, man. This is the kind of stuff I want to see. If the Emperor is like if he found a way either to bring himself physically back, or if he found a way to physicalize a Force Ghost, or if he's like part robot or whatever they do with him, I want him to do stuff like this because I love how the Emperor, he lifts himself up with the Force. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
A pity. How much grander and more powerful you could still become if you had the temerity to embrace the path set before you. Then leads to like an onslaught that basically leads to an onslaught of force lightning to Vader here, and basically Vader is basically, so it looks like it's curtains for Vader here, and then of course what Vader does is really cool. He pulls him close, and he pulls the kind of the classic Force choke, where he's now the hand, the throat, and basically just holds him up there. And he looks him in the eyes as he does it. We have the reflection of Palpatine in the eyes, and he snaps his neck and drops him there. So seemingly Vader is
And
victorious.
of course, at this point, Dragon, I'm kind of thinking like, oh crap, this just pulled an Inglorious Bastards on us.
Yeah, I mean, either Tarantino got his hands on this thing, or Return of the Jedi was a lie.
Like, all right, this is going to be like, what if Vader got rid of the Emperor like before the original Star Wars trilogy even happened? Honestly, Dragon, that's kind of what I thought the theory in Star Wars theory was. I literally thought I was watching a what if kind of thing in this moment.
I mean, again, it could have been, again, entirely could have been possible. Again, these guys, they wanted to stick the landing, and boy, did they do it here. Where so Vader finds a necklace that he made Padme in a scene that basically should have been Episode 1, probably. So basically Vader finds this necklace on the ground that he made Padme in Episode 1, and kind of like a wish it was there deleted scene, I suppose. And we then see a kind of a hallucinatory flashback to young Anakin giving it's a nice scene. It's a cute little scene where Anakin gives Padme this necklace so she can remember him. It says, hey, or like a bracelet or something. I think it was a necklace. Anyway, so this thing. It says, here, I made it for you so you can remember me. And there was this really cute moment. The Padme actress is really good, by the way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have a lot, but she definitely makes an impression. She's a very warm and calming presence. It feels like she's one of the only people in Anakin's life that really saw him for the true potential that he had, at least from Vader's perspective. At least that's what I read out of it.
Yeah. And, she says, "Oh, Annie, I don't need it. Because my caring for you will always remain. My caring for you will always remain." It's a nice, it's a classy line. I don't know, there's something really nice about it. And then this is the bit I love, and this is in the Vader performance. This is why I got a high. This is the stuff that would make David Prowse cry, man. I love this sort of stuff here. Of course, I don't know. I keep bringing up the Dave Prowse thing because even a while back we covered that awesome one of the last. May the Fourth be with you. I don't know if it was the last year, maybe probably like the year before that. We did we covered the I Am Your Father documentary. Remember? Oh yeah, it's really good.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, yes,
the point is that we have this beautiful bit here where Vader. I love that he can't touch her. He's really resident to do it. Like he just wants put his hand on her shoulder or something to kind of get her attention. But he just and I think what I read from this is that he knows before he gets wrapped up in. I think he knows that it's not real. I think he knows that it's a flashback hallucination sort of deal. He knows the brand. I think it's like him, but it's almost like an Inception logic thing where he knows it's not real, and that's why he's like hesitating to touch.
Heroin junkie going back for a fix.
Yeah. So then we have this bit where Anakin, Padme. This is stuff that redeems the no. I take it here, where where you have Vader saying Padme, and I love the way we deliver this because I think they take the filter off a little bit here because when he says Padme, it's the most Anakin Skywalker you've ever heard Darth Vader sound like.
Oh yeah.
It's just Padme, and I just love the extra bit. It's like the little extra bit of humanity in the voice, and he hugs her, and
that hug, man, that hug. I mean, just the stature acting on the guy in the Vader suit is just fantastic, and it's a great kind of like comic booky like visual image, like Vader hugging the love of his life that he actually destroyed in real life. I love that imagery, Dragon.
Absolutely. And again, it's really compelling stuff. And then we have as he's hugging her, she says that. She says that, and we see the eyes.
That is why you will never defeat me.
Basically, through Padme with these yellow Emperor eyes, she's just laughing like the Emperor. And we reveal, and basically, I think what the reveal was here is that, and again, this kept you guessing. I don't know if you had the same effect on you. It kept me guessing through the thing. Where I'm thinking, okay, so I think I read on this initially was okay. Oh my god, the Emperor's playing Force mind games on him, kind of like kind of the stuff that again, this is more stuff we might expect perhaps in like Rise of the Skywalker. Like we saw what Luke Skywalker did in Last Jedi, like Force projection, all that sort of stuff, kind of next level kind of Force trickery. And
Right.
I think
and of course we also saw the Rey and Kylo having those weird Snapchat moments.
Yeah, that's the better example. Yes, and I'm saying like kind of some more trickery like that. Or maybe the Emperor again, like he probably created it. Basically, the idea is I was thinking for a moment like maybe I don't know how much of that fight happened because it might have just been Vader was about to turn on and he gave him that little kind of that little check in like, hey, don't do what you're gonna do because I'm gonna mess with your head like that. It's I don't know. As long as you let your feelings anchor you, forever shall you remain weaker than I.
Oh man!
Always a servant. Oh, and this is the most cutting line that I think the Palpatine says to him here. Always a servant, always a slave. And again, like that cuts deep to episode 1. He was raised as a slave, man. It's nasty business. Young Skywalker, and he hits him with the lightning. Hits him with the lightning, and again, I think and basically we have the big reveal here as we hear Anakin, and of course after we hear Anakin, we hear Lord Vader, and they say this is the big money shot of it all here, folks. So as all this is going on, it looks like it's curtains for Darth Vader. Like, oh no, what the heck is going on? And we pull back into reality, and all of it was either one of two things. It could either just be like an elongated nightmare, or what I like to think of it. I like to think it's a. Remember, Anakin had these Jedi premonitions. I like to think it's kind of a Jedi premonition, like a what if warning. Like, your fate is going to involve a lot of lightning. We know that from Jedi. Eventually, he's going to be kind of in a battle with the Emperor with lightning, and that's what's going to be his undoing. He kind of sees his death here at the Emperor's hands with the lightning.
Yeah.
But he also killed the Emperor. I think it's a premonition for Return of the Jedi. That's what I like to think it is.
I mean,
I'm saying again, it doesn't have to be all right.
It's interesting, Greg, and it's interesting that you bring that up because I honestly just never read it as anything more than the stock, like it was all a dream.
It would make sense though, because episode 3 is predicated on Anakin Skywalker having these premonitions, and I don't know.
That's true. That's true. I never really thought about it that way.
I mean, it works either way. I'm just saying that's what I call it. So, I mean, either way, the point is it's a really cool.
Like I said, it's just the only reason I'm kind of hesitant with this is literally just because I haven't put in the mental legwork to even theorize about it being anything other than a dream to begin with. I just kind of like accepted it as a dream.
Right, so then we have the money shot. All you're saying, all the potential premonitions and everything aside. Here we have this great bit. So Lord Vader, and we have this. I have an urgent message from the Emperor. He wants your presence immediately in his chambers. And we reveal. We have this reveal of Vader here behind the mask, and did this really ingenious thing where we give him the little. Basically, again, this is borrowing from Rogue One, but adding to it in a way. Here we have that one shot of Vader. The idea is like Vader, traditionally Vader in his castle. He's kind of has like this like the ultimate kind of bed for a burn victim before he gets into like the air chamber when he's on the ship. Usually if he's on the ship doing business, he has like kind of like the air chamber that kind of aids him in with his healing and stuff. But here we have just kind of this gelatinous tank that he usually kind of sits in. We kind of have that here where basically he's kind of suspended. He's kind of held within kind of this tank-like space right now. Again, it's like the idea is like it's kind of developing over time. And again, I guess as the future unfolds, the technology develops, and maybe that's the logic behind it. Either way, points, it's a cool shot. It's Vader in the tank. We have this really great close-up shot. And again, this is Star Wars theory in the makeup here. Looks wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it really just kind of like looks like what Anakin was like at the end of that battle in Revenge of the Sith, but just kind of like, preserved. It's like he's all scabby. It's just like, it just goes to show kind of like the hellish existence that he lives in right now. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and that's what I like to think too. And a little bit of chronology here, because I think you're just doing it just right here. Because again, if you look at the history of the burns and the healing, because again, this is it at its not. Bear in mind, the lava was it at its worst. This is it at its second worst. And Rogue One again, he's a little bit healed, but again, it's kind of obscured by the tank. And then, of course, ultimately, Return of the Jedi, he's kind of smooth and it's kind of pale, chalky, older white skin. Again, by the points, that's it, kind of at its most deformed, but still healed. But again, it's I like there's kind of a chronology to all that here. But again, we talked about the performance of the body of Vader here. But again, I love what he's doing with the eyes here. I could be reading into this here, but I love just the close-up performance of the eyes and with the burn makeup and everything. Just seeing, I just love to see it. It's such a rarely, Tiki, do we peek beneath the eyes? Do we peek behind the Vader eyes and see what would? I mean, again, like the closest things, like the dying moments between him and Luke in Return of the Jedi. Never have we really seen like kind of the vulnerability in the again. Like that's a big moment when you see the eyes of Darth Vader here. And again, like Anakin, again, it's a rare peek at Anakin Skywalker here, where again, it's like the Emperor demands your presence, and we see the little eye shifts. You see the insecurity, and it's like we see him affected by what he just saw, and like now the Emperor wants to speak with him again. There's a grand vulnerability in that moment. I'm jazzed in my mind about it. Right. So then we see the limb reveal, where it's kind of again, really, this is all really well shot, by the way. So I want
yeah.
We reveal like Vader's kind of strung up without any limbs at all. It's like, oh man, it's all.
That's what I'm saying, Drake, and that's exactly what I'm going for. It's almost like kind of like a Cronenberg like body horror sort of thing. Like, oh my god, it's like Jesus, what a. And this is how he sleeps, presumably. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's see. So then we have Lucas Wipes. We brought back Lucas Wipes.
Lucas Wipes!
Lucas Wipes.
From the makers of Inside Out Tissues.
Yeah.
God.
So Lucas Wipes here, basically we have I love this. We have the same set from the Nightmare sequence. Again, I love the psychological kind of mind games we're playing here with Vader. Again, we're so in Vader's head in this thing. I love it. That again, we're in the same set, but it's a cooler, calmer lighting applied to it here. So again, it's like not intense, not like like there's no going back.
Right, right.
We have the guards, we have the Crayolas there, and he excuses the Crayolas. He tells them to get out of there. So Vader, basically, so we see Vader in his subservient position. He does the subservient kneel, says, "What is thy bidding, my master?"
Of course, classic Vader line.
He's doing the kneel from Empire Strikes Back, all according to the plan there. So the Emperor, I'm sorry, you want to take us through some of this?
Yeah, sure. And this is, of course, is very much a mirror of Empire Strikes Back in a lot of ways because, of course, in Empire, we get that famous shot of the helmet being lowered onto the exposed head. Like you said, what is thy bidding, my master, is lifted straight from Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back is the first time that we see the Emperor in the series. So, like I said, Dragon, very much a lot of leaning towards that as well. But but there's an appeal here because there is a lot of other influences taking place at the same time. So, all right, so let's get into it. Vader is
the Emperor approaches Vader as a mentor, and I love this. And again, this is kind of that. It's almost like
just like you are distressed, my friend, and he's approaching it like I can help you. Like he's basically approaching it like a buddy. Like, hey, what's on your mind, pal? Penny for your thoughts.
And what I love about this, and again, Teague, this is why I keep going with the Breaking Bad comparison here, the Better Call Saul comparison. In this case, it's maybe even more than Salamanca. It's more like a Gus Fring and Don Eladio, where we know the end game with Don Eladio with Don Eladio and Gus Fring. We know what the end game is for that. And I love that, again, we know these two characters, again, they're working together, and of course there's a subservience, and of course we know there's definitely an end game for revenge. And basically the question here for me, again, to me, I always assumed it was this, and in the comics, I'm not saying that the comics is like a definitive thing you need to read the comics for. I'm saying it's always the impression you get from the movies, too, that, okay, so basically once Luke enters the fray, once he finds out that Luke Skywalker is his son, that's when Vader gets, of course, at the end of Empire, he says, you and I, we could rule the galaxy together, father and son. Based on that alone, you imagine, okay, that's when he kind of really decides to work against the Emperor. My read on all this is that Vader, these nightmares and everything, again, he's having second thoughts, and this is before, I'm going to guess by the end of the story what they're telling here, he's going to firmly be on the dark side, and he's going to make peace with, okay, I'm on the Emperor's side here, and until that Luke Skywalker moment happens, that's going to be the moment where, okay, I'm going to work against this guy again.
Interesting. I've heard a good argument on movie fights recently, actually, about Scarlet Witch being a good antagonist going forward.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's something. Scarlet Witch, famously, she kills half the Marvel universe. So yeah, that's
what I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah, that's where they're pulling it from.
Yeah, But yeah, that's the thing. We have like that friendship. It's almost like we have like a lot of friendships where we're like, oh yes, there's my friend. Of course, knowing the stuff that he's wronged them with and everything. Just he goes over this is, but what he's trying to approach him as a friend, figure out what's wrong. By the same token, it's the Emperor sizing Vader up. He's sizing up Vader's headspace. Is this guy going to turn on me yet? That's what he's doing in this scene. That's at least what I took it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just, oh, fine, my master. It's not as casually like, oh, I'm fine, just kind of chilling in my little suspension bed. It hurts like the Dickens, but it's a living. But no, seriously.
I'm gonna go to Disneyland and film that commercial today. That'll be fun.
Yep. Kids are gonna throw rocks at me. That's how it goes. I killed the younglings and stuff. They don't like that. Okay, anyway, so it says, fine. He says, there's a great I love the great amount of focus on the gestures here, like all the little hand gestures where the Emperor moves again. There's a great body language kind of storytelling here, where the Emperor gets close to him, he puts his hand on Vader's shoulder, again, kind of keeping him down a little bit there. But again, so he's putting the hand on the shoulder is like, your anger radiates like a whirlwind, yet unfocused. No. You didn't. And again, as I mentioned, again, hook of the comics and all that's just kind of built in here. Again, the whole uneasy partnership angle. That's kind of what we're doing here. Again, what is the Emperor? What's the Emperor think? It's really up to interpretation. I like that they kind of captured that here without kind of getting in the way of the story at all.
I mean, honestly, like the way that I interpreted it is that the Emperor genuinely is kind of like, and again, this is one of those things where I feel like we might get some answers to this in the new film, where I think he genuinely wants Anakin to do it, and I think he's genuinely disappointed that Anakin won't take his shot, because ultimately, the way that I read this as is that by killing the Emperor, Anakin is fulfilling his role and rising in the ranks and really becoming that kind of like master Sith, that and that's kind of like somewhat fulfilling his promise in a way. So I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that throughout this, he's just kind of like, he's really legitimately trying to go Anakin, either because he genuinely wants Anakin to fulfill his purpose, or just because, he's just like, this kid will never turn against me. I'm going to have some fun with him. I'm going to troll him.
It's a little bit of, again, I love that. Yeah, it is a little up to interpretation, but again, it kind of works both ways. Because think about this, Teague. Imagine this. And I'm going to echo your sentiment here, is that, again, in the new movie, for all we know, the Emperor might have had like a fail-safe this whole time. Like if he gets killed or brought down by his protege, it'll be like what Obi-Wan said to Vader: "Strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can ever imagine."
Mm-hmm.
Again, maybe that's the idea. Like again, when he gets killed by his mentor, gets killed by Vader, he's still going to come back, and Vader will fulfill his potential. He's covered on both bases. Like it's like the Emperor can't lose. So for all we know, again, I think you're right. I think he might have failed safes. The point is, like, I think he's kind of broaching this, like he's just kind of going with the flow, and that he has it covered either way. Whether that's true or not, I guess we'll find out. But regardless, the point being, the Emperor is testing Vader by kind of challenging him to strike him down. He's getting all. He's challenging him to strike him down. He lights the saber. He gets give in to your anger, so you're not crippled by it, by indecision and attachments of a Jedi. And again, I think here's the fascinating thing. I do think that regardless of whatever the Emperor's plan is, the Emperor, deep down, he does have a fondness for Anakin Skywalker. And I think what he's doing at the core of all is he is trying to help in a really twisted, demented way. That he does want him to, again, he wants him to embrace himself. He sees a bit of himself in it. Again, whether that's the end form, he still wants to help, even if it's in a twisted way or in a way it's going to like. It's interesting, right?
Oh yeah.
Then he says, like, he basically you killed the past, yet your past self was more complete and more. Basically, what he's saying here, I kind of took as like, you killed your past, yet your past self was more complete and formidable in the literal sense, where had all his limbs and everything. So that was you at your prime. And the Sith is all about destroying all who stand in the way of power and eliminating your rivals. Who stands. I love this bit here, which says, "Who stands in your way?" And this is where the Emperor is really putting on. It shows you how great a manipulator or a mentor that the Emperor is here. He says, who stands in your way? Again, we just basically see evil. Again, the Emperor is evil Yoda at the end of the day. It's what he is. He's just pure evil Yoda. It's Hitler meets Yoda. It's the Emperor. That's kind of what you got there. You know, where he's who stands in your way. I love that the Emperor is not wrong at all here. The Emperor is right here. That no, you made these choices. You killed the younglings. You did make a bad decision here. You got to live. You're basically saying don't get shaken from your path in life. It's going to be too messy again. Otherwise, you turn it like Kylo Ren. We saw how that ended. From the Emperor's perspective, that would probably be bad. So. I was going to say, basically, you've been subjected and decrepit in that. Who's kept you subjected and decrepit in that armor? Anyone? Only your hate will eradicate this, and basically tell them to use your anger, use your hate. Again, you're the only one keeping yourself, and you got to get out of your own way. Is kind of what he's saying here. Like you're only in this position because you went for the high ground, buddy boy. This is all on you. You made these decisions, and you got to live with it. Essentially, is kind of what he's saying here.
Oh man! All right.
Like the Emperor knows Anakin Skywalker is Vader. True that, and he. Sorry. Basically, I think the Emperor knows, Anakin Skywalker is a distraction for Vader, and basically he has to accept himself so he can know who he truly is, and that's kind of what he's getting at through all of this here. And there's great tension in this shot here, where again he knows that again this could be curtains for him here, where he has that tension where he says he basically points the lightsaber at himself, the unlit lightsaber at himself, says go on, let the basically wants to eradicate the distraction of Anakin Skywalker. He points the thing to him, and he says, and it basically gives him an opportunity. You've come at me, just do it right now. Just, you're the only one standing your own way right now. You want revenge, you want hatred, take it. Again, kind of a coy way without just spelling it out. It says, I cannot, my master. My disappointment grows as
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about, Dragon. This is where the ambiguity kind of comes into play. But I really do read it as he is genuinely disappointed because he sees it all right, this kid, if he really does embrace the power and embrace the dark side and really let it take hold of him, then he can achieve things that I wouldn't even think possible. But yeah, sure, I'm a bridge in his way, but hey, it's okay because no one's ever really gone.
But in all seriousness, I do like the Emperor is standing by his credo that basically is what this is all about. It's all about again use your hate, dip into your hate. He'll live and die by the literal sword of your hate. So again, we're all about revenge and hate here. So you're going to have to again if this is my fate because of these teachings, you're going to fully be in this life if you do this. So I'll accept that, no problem. Again, it kind of mirrors the Kylo Ren moment in a way. Mm. The fascinating thing is that he doesn't take the move. He doesn't take the stab in a way. Embrace the choices that brought you here. Just embrace them and revel in them. Live in the basically, or else you'll live in the shadows of. Live in the shadows. Embrace the choices that brought you here. It's there's no going back. You made your choice. Don't doubt yourself, or else you're going to be poisoned like Kylo Ren is. Essentially, it's you're going to be all torn up inside. And so he's trying to make it easier on Vader. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting for sure.
I love the 3-act structure of this, by the way. So Act 1 is the nightmare sequence. Act 2 is the scene with the Emperor. And Act 3, what this kind of bridges into, is the mission. So the mission is there's a at the mid-rim. Basically, this mid-rim Jedi mission is that there's one of the surviving Jedi. One very specific one is on Naboo, which, of course, is the Emperor's home and the resting place of the late Queen Padme Amidala.
So you remember in Attack of the Clones when it was really inappropriate to send you on a mission there when you had the hots for Padme? Well, basically, I'm pulling the same thing because I'm just evil like that.
I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna do something crazy here. All right, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm not the first one to do this, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. Okay. All right, because I'm going to attempt to make something Attack the Clones better.
Oh, God. Okay. Good luck. Good luck.
Okay, I'm going to throw this at you. You can tell me if I'm crazy, because I'll do it. I'm not going to put much of a fight here. But maybe the Emperor, perhaps, little bit of a premonition about where Anakin Skywalker's heading. Again, we know we took a vested interest in him for a reason in Episode 3. Perhaps Padme was the key to making all that happen. Perhaps he knew a little bit more than he let on to. Maybe.
What are you saying exactly?
I'm saying, again, the Emperor perhaps... Again, we know that the Emperor has been kind of fascinated by Anakin Skywalker by Episode 3. I'm saying, what if that fascination started by Episode 2, and maybe it was a reason, like somehow, again, being the end-all, be-all of kind of the Sith, with, tapped in the Force and everything. Perhaps he also, again, we know...
Honestly, if Palpatine would have somehow found out about the Sand People massacre, I feel like that would have caught his attention.
I'm saying either way, it could be either just being really good, again, having that political mindset and all that stuff about the Sand People and everything, or just the sense of, well, again, maybe, again, I think, I can't remember if Qui-Gon Jinn, I don't know how specified it is, like people having Force visions, because, Rey had one, obviously, so I think having premonitions is what I mean, like people having Jedi premonitions, I think he might have had one. It could either be he had one or he's just really politically minded. Point being, he might have known that Padme was going to play a role in the things, therefore he set them up together.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm saying out there, and it might sound crazy, I don't know, but maybe.
All right.
Anyway, so the point is, we get the mission here where, again, I want to send him back to Naboo.
Now, Dragon, just really quick, in case I missed something, do we name this Jedi? Is this Jedi anyone important that we should know about?
Yes, he's someone very important, and they don't name him here, but there's a big clue, and they did reveal who it's going to be, so basically confirmed the Easter egg here. And then there's the point to give you a big hint to who it is.
Casual Star Wars fan.
Okay.
Is it Ahsoka?
No.
Okay, who is it?
Much more obvious than that, Tiki. Okay, I'll give you
the...
What?
Is it Yoda?
No, it's not Yoda.
Well, who is it?
Hold on a second. We're going to get to it in a second here.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll give you the Easter egg and see if you can. I'll give you the reference.
Like you're making it seem so obvious, and you were shocked that I said.
There is it's a big Easter egg. I'm going to share it with you and see if you get it after I repeat the Easter eggs.
All right.
The point is, the Emperor tells him, okay, one of the surviving Jedi's on Naboo, he knows who you are. And he knows who you are, and he's baiting you there. That's kind of what he's saying. It's a Jedi who's setting a trap, which is very un-Jedi-like, which is very fascinating.
I mean, must be Obi-Wan then?
No, it's not Obi-Wan.
It's not Obi-Wan?
I'm going to give it to you right now.
Well, what other Jedis are still even alive at that point?
Well, Mr. No One's Ever Really Gone, get ready for this. He says he wields an amethyst blade. There you go.
Wait.
He wields it. No!
Oh, God damn it, I don't know.
Okay, let's say
I feel so stupid, Frank. I feel so stupid.
He wields an amethyst blade. Amethyst.
Just tell me.
Mace Windu.
Mace, of course.
Purple. Amethyst. Purple.
Wait, so you're telling me that Mace Windu's alive because no one's ever really gone?
Again, yeah, Mr. With the running gang, I'm surprised you didn't get that.
No, I did not. I'm sorry, because...
If you really think of, what's funny about that, though, with all the no one's ever really gone, and with this, if you think, again, let's just say we canonize this, because, again, it's really good and there's nothing saying so far.
I mean, I just kind of assume that Mace Windu is just like, I mean, no one's ever really gone, but he flew out a window into a city full of skyscrapers. I mean, he's pretty gone.
Let me throw this at you. This is the thing, Mr. No One's Ever Really Gone. I just want to point this out here, is that the funny thing, and let's just canonize because this thing's really good. I mean, so for the point of argument, this happens. It's so funny if you say this happens that all the other basically every falling death has been undone in Star Wars. Think about it, okay? Let's go back to it. Let's just track here. All the falling deaths, okay?
Okay, Emperor, Boba Fett.
Yeah, looking for all. Yeah, pretty much. There's nothing. I forget how they've always said they're trying to bring Boba Fett back, and it's easy to undo him. So the point is, Boba Fett's he's alive. We haven't seen how quite yet. The point he's just going to crawl up the Sarlacc pit, so we all know what's going to happen. So the point being, he's going to be alive. But beyond that, think about it. Darth Maul, sliced in half.
Yeah, true.
So why can't Mace Windu? He got missing a hand. He got struck by some blade, but again,
you got a good point there. You got a good point. All right.
I mean, if the Emperor can survive in some way, shape, or form, I mean, Mace Windu, again, he was struck by lightning and he fell, but again, he fell. We didn't see a body.
Dragon. I have one caveat to that. All right.
Okay.
Han Solo.
Okay.
That fucker is pretty dead.
Fair point, but out of all the people who have fallen, not counting Boba Fett, because in Boba Fett it's more of like a sandpit thing. He just kind of can just rocket himself out or just climb his way out of. Not counting Boba Fett, all the rest were Jedi's. All the rest were like essentially they were Sith Lords or Jedi's, and they got out of there.
Yeah. All right. Whatever.
Okay. The point being, there was enough wiggle. I think out of all,
you're saying that if Han Solo was a Jedi, he would have been able to survive a lightsaber through the chest.
Look, I'm not saying. Look, I'm just pointing out the tonality here. Okay, I'm not saying. Look, I'm just saying if Darth Maul survived being cut in half, I mean, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I mean, if he survived being cut in half and falling a great distance. Han Solo was an old man. Darth Maul was in his prime. That's all I'm saying. Okay, look. Regardless, the point being,
why?
And look, like I'm not entertaining this legitimately here, but just for the sake of comedy here. Well, I mean, we never saw a body on Han Solo, and they're teasing kind of a reunion for Rise of Skywalker.
Oh no! He just comes out from around the corner. It's like fucking Robbie from Roar of the World. Just like, yeah, I've been here just waiting for you guys the whole time.
Maybe he has like an arc reactor. Who knows?
It's like he didn't even realize that they thought he was dead. It's like, yeah, Luke fell down. Luke made the fall and Empire Strikes Back, and he was fine. I just assumed you guys thought I'd get out the other side. I'm good.
I mean, Vader fell into a volcano and he survived. I mean,
All right, we're going down a rabbit hole.
But, okay, the point being, tangents aside, again, Han Solo being the main. Okay, the point is, Han Solo being the main exception. Falling death does not necessarily mean death anymore in Star Wars. So, point being, so Amethyst Blade is mentioned, which basically is the big clue that oh my god, it's Mace Windu and again, I love Mace Windu being chosen thematically because again, that was the big choice, and that's what this whole thing seems to be about. Vader's big choice, and we kind of foreshadowed that in the Act 1 nightmare sequence, where again it was like the Mace Windu death, and again another premonition thing, perhaps. Again, Mace Windu being an immediate callback. I don't know.
Sure.
Anyways, the point being, Mace Windu again being the determining thing here. Of course, Mace Windu kind of holding a grudge after again Anakin being the deciding vote in his demise there. And even Vader speaking for the audience, just saying how and. Palpatine's answer again might be a little bit of foreshadow for Rise of the Skywalker. Here, bear in mind, they knew nothing about Rise of the Skywalker while they were making this. By the way, just want to make that clear.
I don't know if Mace Windu shows up in Rise of the Skywalker Dragon. I feel like, honestly, unless they have like a Thanos snap situation going on, and then everyone comes back. That's the only way I could allow something like that to happen.
No. I don't mean Mace. I'm just speaking of like of this line that the Emperor has. I'm saying like Mace Windu's not coming. He's probably gonna get killed in this series. That's what I'm saying. But like, Mace Windu's a goner, I'm sure. But what I'm saying is, the Emperor has like power. This one wields a great deal. The point is like the Emperor saying power is how he survived. Again, kept it vague, but by the same token, maybe that's how he's going to come back. And what I mean is like they didn't know. Again, our guy Star Wars here. He went to Star Wars Celebration. That's when they revealed.
Yeah.
The point is like logically, it's like he wouldn't have no legit idea if the Emperor's coming back. So all this put in like a month before the start of the year. So it's way before anyone would know anything. Point being, good line though about power. That's how.
All right.
And of course, Vader's saying, "I will finish what we started." Again, he basically is gonna, in a way, I think Vader's attaching kind of like I'm gonna convince myself I made the right choice by killing Mace Windu, who's kind of the representation of the big moment of change for me in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. The Emperor saying, "I wonder, eliminate the Jedi, and basically eliminate the Jedi and pledge fully to the dark side." Revel in it. Again, the revel in it. It's kind of nice if we're kind of bringing that back there. So it's like, only then will you cast off the chains that bind you and achieve power never before. Now, I wonder if that's just him stringing him along with the whole Padme thing a little bit. I wonder.
Well, yeah, it's I kind of like that we keep it ambiguous even now, even through all the turmoil that we've seen these two go down. We still don't entirely know if at the very least, if Palpatine has any sort of heart left for this kid at all, or if he's just like, yes, he's my ultimate puppet.
Yeah, and again, that was kind of the big kind of screw you moment at the end of episode 3 for Vader, where it was like the whole like, you and I will figure it out together. Where it's like, oh no, you didn't know the answer.
Right, right.
All right, so only then will you destroy the rival before you, and then then I will not fail, masters. And then Vader, so he's let's see. And basically, again, I think is ultimately again this is kind of Vader potentially kind of working up to basically I think maybe in Vader's mind beyond that too. Either Vader's in the mindset of okay, I'm going to convince myself I've taken the right path here, I'm going to fulfill this mission. Then afterwards, I'm going to decide where I'm at on the Emperor here because it's like him ultimately working up to double cross the Emperor. It's kind of where again it's going to be a question like where we turn out at the end of all this, I suppose. But yeah. So basically, the inception of the turn on the Emperor arc is this story. That's the main thing. We should hit with all of this. I think it's the main thing they're going for. We have the exterior of the Star Destroyer, looks really cool.
Okay.
We have. I love the world building here too. Again, this is like stuff I'm excited to see in Mandalorian with kind of the ladder world building. This is even good. This is stuff I was dying to see in like in those sort of like I've always lived for like Star Wars 3.5 type filmmaking. That's the stuff I always wanted to see, like kind of the point of transition with Vader. And this is the kind of stuff we're doing here where, okay, it's Vader. We're still using the Jedi. Remember, like how the Jedis, they go in their ships and they use like these rings to achieve light speed. Like, oh, that's what Obi-Wan would do. And Vader is doing that in his ship. I like that we're kind of, we've taken all the Jedi's toys from the Clone Wars and we're repurposing it. And this is like before light speed is a built-in function in every ship. That's the idea, or at least in the smaller ships, like a TIE fighter. But this is before they have TIE fighters. That's my main point. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So the Emperor then, he says, I want a shuttle prepared. I have a sudden touch of nostalgia to visit Naboo, and he begins laughing. And again, this right here, this is the move that makes it. I know they read the comics. I don't know how up to date they are because again, it's only 2 years ago. I think the Vader comics probably been around since. Basically, the Vader comics been around since Force Awakens, so it's probably I don't know how up to date they are if they went back and read through them all. Point being, I have a sense that these guys are dialed into it. And this moment here is absolutely what these comics are all about, man, with the Emperor and the Vader dynamic, where the Emperor's all about keeping tabs on Vader and like kind of testing his faith. And that's essentially what the Emperor's doing here. He's gonna go to Naboo and make sure he finishes the job and sees where he stands, which implies that okay, if Vader double crosses him, he's gonna kill him there. Perhaps if he fails, there are gonna be consequences. Being the main point, like he's gonna size up Vader's loyalty, which I think this suggests maybe whether he wants to or not, he's gonna have to kill Mace Windu, even if he has second thoughts because the Emperor's there. Perhaps. I don't know. All right, then we have like kind of our third act here, the very short, like basically it's a minute for third act, but it's, it's good though.
Oh, seriously though, let's compliment the CG on the space scenes, Dragon. Oh my God, they look damn good.
They do. I mean, they look tremendous. Again, on a budget, this thing looks film quality. I got to be honest. I mean,
it really does. I mean, it's very convincing.
There are no models, but they're the next best thing. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So, and beyond that too, let's with the CG as well. Like we replicate the sets and the locations so well because basically, it's been a while. I don't know if this is the exact same location or not, but it looks eerily similar to some of the locations in Phantom Menace when we were on Naboo. Like again, it looks almost like the scene. Again, I don't think it's the same building, but it might be the same palace for all I know. Is that the big. Basically, the ground assault on Naboo, like we have guys in the palace, we have all that stuff going on in Phantom Menace, where like guys are shooting. You have like the one-eyed guy, but we see how he loses the eye and everything. That guy is shooting. Always that location. That's what I'm thinking of here. It's like kind of that main kind of royal kind of palace location, I guess. So the interiors look very familiar and they look very Phantom Menacey, which is just right. And we see the place has been taken over by clone troopers that were once welcome there. Now they basically, with Order 66, they were all like, hey, welcome, clone troopers, Order 66. Turn on, blast.
Right, because that's pretty much what Order 66 does to people. It's just like, no, just kill them all.
Yeah, but again, that's the genius in the move there. Okay, well, everyone was just welcome there. Again, let's basically have like soldiers in the army just going to turn on basically turning in the Nazis in a moment's notice. I mean, it's pretty horrifying. That's how they were able to kind of conquer the galaxy in part. They have all these men spread throughout, and they turn on everybody like that. All right, so Okay, let's see. So, it's Commander Fox, and again, the eyes they all sound like the same guy. They all sound a little bit like D. Bradley Baker. It's basically it's a Clone Wars pool, and they all sound like the whole they're all clone troopers. Very accurate.
They all sound like Rex, right? That's the original.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, at least that's the popular. I don't know if he's the original. I know he's the popular one. He's like the leader of.
Well, I mean, isn't technically Jango Fett the original
That's
one?
what I'm saying. Jango Fett is the clone. He's the original. What I'm saying is like what you're thinking of is the favorite clone trooper, like the main like hero clone trooper
Right,
is
yeah.
Rex.
Okay.
So that's what you're getting at. The point is like this is like another one, like Commander Fox. We know it's not Rex.
Gotcha. Anyways.
Okay, so the Jedi has barricaded himself in the catacombs. And then this is the best detail out of everything, by the way. The idea is that Mace Windu, he went to Naboo. And again, the idea is like a Jedi does not seek revenge. So Mace Windu is operating in a gray area here. Because again, the rules are kind of out the window based on this big, Order 66 business. And
Right.
He's becoming bitter. And again, he definitely has a grudge against Anakin Skywalker. And he knows that he's Vader. Presumably he knows that he's Vader. And he went to Naboo, and he's in the catacombs, implying, and again, we emphasize the resting place of the late Queen Padme Amidala. He lured Vader to essentially the resting place of his dead wife.
Yeah, it's definitely a power play on Mace Windu's part. Now that I know that it's actually Mace Windu, Dragon, I'm sorry. I feel like I was missing a whole puzzle piece of this. Now that you've revealed the Mace.
I know what I'm really hoping they kind of highlight the Jedi hypocrisy through Mace Windu, because we never did enough with Mace Windu. He's just kind of the guy walking very slowly around things. He cut Jango Fett's head off. That's really the best they did. Mace Windu has 3 claims to fame. All right, 3 things. 1, walking around really slowly. 2, cut off Jango Fett's head.
Yep.
3,
did that.
3 had a cool, impactful death scene, which of course was like the big turning. That was the big choice for Vader. Those are the 3 claims to fame Mace Windu has. So I like it if he's like a symbol of like the Jedi's being a little hypocritical, where again, like where Mace Windu is acting un-Jedi-like after, of course, that's the whole system that led Anakin Skywalker to turning on the Jedi. So that's going to be really interesting if they do stuff like that. So anyway, so the idea is the Jedi's barricaded himself in the catacombs, and they sealed off the entrance, and they sent some troopers in. They blew their way, and they sent them in, and troopers haven't returned. Lost troopers don't concern me. I want that Jedi. And he's doing some pointing like a New Hope. He's pointing, he's gesturing a lot.
Yes.
I want them alive. That whole thing. Use the 501st, which that's a big fan thing, by the way. The 501st is like there's like I believe the Stormtrooper Coalition. It's like how you have Ghostbusters in every state with the ghost heads and everything. Like the 501st is like
I figured it was something like that, like some sort of a unit of Stormtroopers or something.
The point is, whenever the 501st is mentioned, it's a big kind of fan pull with the Stormtroopers. I forget if it's like where exactly, if it was in. I can only assume it was in the movies, but it's like probably I don't know. I think it's probably something established in the prequels. The 501st, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Point being, it's a big kind of call out for fans. So that's a deal. Anyway, so
over 9,000.
Over 9,000.
All right.
Anyway, so then we have one of the great bits, one of the great final shots. But I love how they shot this really well, because basically they shot this on a stairwell, and then they CG'd the background. It's a flawless kind of melding of things. I think it looks really convincing. Where we have Vader.
The best visual effects are the ones that you don't really notice, and I feel like this is a good example of that.
Yeah. So Vader, I love this. I love what builds up to it too. Before we get to the visual, I love how Vader. We don't see what these guys are stopping at, and of course Vader he turns, and he hears Padme say, "Anakin." And again, I like to think maybe it's in his head, especially because I think it's just Vader kind of having some mind games on himself here. Because again, he's thinking of the catacombs there, and it's kind of disturbing him on some level. He's on the home planet of Padme, so I think his focus is definitely going to be pulled a little bit on this mission. So he turns around, and we reveal the hole below him, the really great looking kind of blasted in entrance below them. Looks really good, and we hear stormtroopers being slaughtered by Mace Windu, and we see the purple lightsaber.
Oh boy.
You're kind of in the dust and everything.
I don't know why I didn't catch this, Dragon. I don't know why I didn't pick up, like, hey, it's a purple lightsaber. There he is.
Again, just an excellent looking shot here. And then Vader, he lights his saber. And it's basically Vader looking down at this hole with the purple lightsaber kind of in the dust. And it's great. It's a great final shot. I mean, that alone, that's wonderful.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Dragon, like I said, I feel like the one thing that I feel like a big old fat dunce about is that I I'm just not a big enough Star Wars fan to immediately I like as you can tell, Dragon, my knowledge of Mace Windu, it's like I don't even really remember that he has the purple lightsaber. I know that's a big part of his character, but it's not something that I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. It's like it's not something that I immediately I'm not that big of a Star Wars guy, especially the prequels era. I never watched any of the animated shows or anything, so I really don't know any of the extended lore of these guys. So, so I'm sorry. I definitely kind of was caught off guard by the Mace Windu thing. But other than that, Dragon, like I said, I feel like especially in some of the stuff we get, like I feel like that force hallucination thing is definitely the strongest scene in the whole special for me because it definitely illuminates kind of like the kind of the powerful emotion that goes into the sacrifice that Anakin Skywalker made and how it didn't pan out and how he's kind of trapped in this eternal prison both internally and externally and it's all very interesting stuff and now that I know that it's actually Mace Windu that he's hunting down, I'm going to have to rewatch this and see just how much of an idiot I am for how obvious it was.
Anyway, so of course, before I get into my final thoughts here, I just want to say, Don Martin has joined us in the comments, and he said, this was a great fan film. He loved this, and I absolutely I echo his sentiments. This thing is marvelous. It really is. It's top notch. This film warrants all the hype that it got because it just kind of blew up on the scene there, got a lot of views and everything. And of course, again, folks, much as I'm excited for the second episode, I wouldn't, given learning like what goes into this thing. Again, it takes like a man going out of pocket, like a fan's fan. This guy, Star Wars Theory, and Star Wars Theory in the gang and everybody, and of course, like again, it's a team effort for sure. I'm saying Star Wars Theory is kind of the main kind of face guy, all giving the updates and everything. So kind of mainly Star Wars Theory and definitely a producing and writing capacity. Like episode again, we always talk about Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world. No, you're wrong. That one's actually in people's hands. I just need to watch that and we can get the view count up on that. That's a lot more achievable. This is impossible, but he's doing it anyway. It's awesome.
pretty much, yeah.
Again, it's impossible. Yet he didn't made the first one. Now he's going to do episode 2, and presumably more. Like they've kind of elaborate that they like to do beyond once they get through the Vader story. They'd love to do kind of a prequel kind of thing on the Emperor, which I assume would definitely play after Rise of the Skywalker comes out. They kind of fill in the blanks for like what's Palpatine's story, perhaps.
Mm.
Like for all we know, we get some Plagueis stuff depending how the movie goes. For all we know, that could be really interesting. The point is, I have nothing but faith in these guys based on this. And this film, on the whole, it warrants the hype. It's teeming with potential. It's just utterly teeming with potential. Like this is the type of prequel story I've wanted for years. Kind of 3.5 era Star Wars. I've always been fascinated by it. We rarely ever get. We've always gotten like the 3.9 with like Rogue One, but this is like 3.5 or like even earlier than that kind of like stuff, and this is all really cool. This is this adds again it complements my love for the Vader comics they've been doing, and it's filling in the blanks in a wonderful way. It's not like we're not just tacking things on needlessly, we're just adding some. Again, it's doing the best. The reason I made so many Albuquerque verse references to you is again, this does feel very much kind of like what we love about Better Call Saul in a Star Wars, in a kind of a Star Wars venue, so to speak. Where again, it's like we're not just filling in the blanks; we're showing our characters kind of transition their mindsets. We're seeing them go on an arc between like the big tent poles that we know them to go on in the grand adventure of it all. And I think it's like we're not losing anything. We're not just like tacking anything pointless on there. We're just kind of we're enlightening things that yes we don't need, but they're really great to know. And thankfully when they're made this competently, they really pay off. Like there's a pathos and humanity captured in a close-up, in a mere close-up of this, we capture so much humanity, and beyond that, we have all these subtle moments in acting. Again, enough to make David Prowse cry. It's just that well done. That's the last thing I really can say about it, is that this is the epitome of what Star Wars fan filmmaking is all about. And I love that it came from such a glorious place of just of fan theories of Star Wars theory and what they're all about. And again, it's like commenting and talking about Star Wars. That this all came from just talking about Star Wars. All of this and has just kind of this great kind of banner work that is, hey, that's this Vader fan series. It's nothing but good stuff, and I think everything that May the 4th be with you should be about. Should be all about. So I think it's a perfect choice for us to kind of like be our tentpole thing for this year. So.
All right. So is that about it, Dragon? If we reach the conclusion here?
Yeah, we reached the conclusion. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Of course, we'll see. I'm sure we're going to talk about the next Rise of Skywalker trailer when we get it. Maybe sometime during D23 is going to be my guess. But in the meantime, folks, because we are officially recording this after midnight on the East Coast, and it is May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you, young Skywalker.
And with you, my master.